What is going on YouTube? It is your boy MrBaboon back with a reaction video. This time we have the mass motoring Mongoose. And this is uploaded by Extra History. We're going to react to it. This was uploaded 2 months ago. I will have the video and Extra History's channel link down below in the description, as well as the video link down below in the channel link, which technically you can actually find the channel that way just by, using the video link. You can go to, you can do it that way, and then I dropped some. I had to pick it up. There we go. Got that picked up. Now, let's get back to this. So, with that being said, make sure you guys do like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications if you guys are new. We're gonna have some videos coming up. I gotta record some. I'm thinking about trying to record some gaming videos, but I don't exactly know what to record right now, so I'm kind of just waiting on that. That's kind of why I haven't been live streaming, because I don't know what games to stream right now. Fortnite. I mean, there's a couple other games that I could stream, like Fortnite, a lot of other stuff, but like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not really rocking with those games right now, so I think I'm just gonna be waiting for the Call of Duty, the new one, and I think a teaser or some shit will be on Warzone 2, and that's gonna be what, August 17th? It's August 14th. Anyways. We're just gonna get to the reaction. So if we're talking, I'll be babbling a lot. And like,
Island of Hawaii, 1883. Plantation workers lift the wooden crate. From inside comes the sound of scratching claws and aggressive chittering. The things inside are killers, predators known to slay some of the deadliest animals on Earth. And over the past 2 weeks, they've been taken across 2 oceans in a box. It's likely they've cannibalized each other to survive. But those that remain are angry, desperate, and hungry. Mill investor William Herbert Purvis instructs them to carry the beasts to the edge of the sugarcane field. Then crowbars bite into the side of the crate, the workers exchange a worried glance, and keep their bodies clear. Ichi, ni, san, huki! They pull, nails groan, wood splinters. Then suddenly, brown furry bodies streak toward the cane and are gone. A dozen Indian mongoose loosed into the fields. These men don't know it, but they've just triggered an apocalypse.
shit. They just triggered an apocalypse. I wonder what he means by that. That could mean a couple of things. You know what I mean?
You're not ready for it.
I don't know, I guess we're gonna find out.
With native bird populations declining around the globe, seems like a lot of birds really do have every right to be angry. So to help raise awareness of historical events that have negatively impacted bird populations, the folks over at Angry Birds reached out to us and commissioned this extra history episode in hopes that if more people understood a past human ecological mistake, we can help ensure a better future.
That means I did see the Angry Bird. I think that's what I'm pretty sure that's what I don't know. I don't remember what pretty sure I called it the Angry Bird. I don't know. Something like that. But I was right.
For our feathered friends. So with that in mind, what do you say, gang? Should we slingshot into this story? Awesome. Okay, wait, are you sure this is safe? Because I'm not sure if I've ever ridden in one of these things before. The Hawaiian Islands are famous for their beaches, surf breaks, and lush volcanic mountains. Often it's been called a paradise. But among biologists, it has a different, more somber name. The extinction capital of the world. Hawaii has more endangered and extinct species than any other comparably sized place on the planet, with its native bird populations especially impacted by human habitation. Like nearly every other part of the globe, habitat loss and urban encroachment have driven many species to the brink, yet unusually in the case of Hawaii, much of that devastation can be tracked to the decision of a single man. But to understand how that was even possible, we first have to explain Hawaii's ecosystem a bit, and why it was uniquely vulnerable to being upended. The Hawaiian Islands are a remote volcanic chain, 2,500 miles from the nearest continent, meaning to establish a population on the island, animals had to either fly, swim, or float there. This made the island's ecosystem largely a kingdom of birds. They arrived in waves over the eons, many evolving specifically to feed on native plants that also evolutionarily adapted to their new home. And their physiology reflected that. Some had beautiful crimson plumage. Others had dramatically hooked and needle-like beaks evolved to feed on specific flowers. Not to mention, certain birds only arose on specific islands, meaning the populations were relatively small and dependent on the plants they were adapted to. Hawaii was also a surprisingly gentle environment. With no terrestrial ground mammals, plants largely didn't need to evolve defenses such as poisons or thorns, and many birds even took to nesting on the ground. But then, a major predator arrived: humans. In roughly 1200 AD, Polynesian voyagers arrived from Tahiti to settle the islands. And like everywhere humans settled, they upended the environment. Humans have kind of always been a threat to ecosystems, but what makes us particularly dangerous are the domesticated and undomesticated species that we bring with us. The Polynesian voyagers brought chickens and small pigs, but perhaps their most consequential introduction was the Pacific rat, which occasionally preyed on bird eggs. Just bookmark that one for later. Eventually, bird feathers also became a major component in Hawaiian culture.
Remember that for later. The mice would take the bird eggs. Remember that for later.
Used to decorate musical instruments, god images, and battle standards. But their greatest use was actually in the feather cloaks worn by the chiefly class. However, it should be noted that the bird catchers who were gathering these feathers would not kill the birds. They'd catch them by smearing glue on branches, then pluck a few feathers before releasing them. As a result, both historians and biologists believe that the impact of Hawaiian featherwork on bird populations was relatively minor. Now, despite the initial shock of settlement, things in the islands did eventually reach equilibrium. Native Hawaiian practices emphasized sustainability, an ethos that was partially a religious duty, but also a social imperative, since there was really nowhere left to expand to. But these principles crumbled when Western business interests and economic models started to remake how the Kingdom of Hawaii managed land. Now, that is a much longer story, but to summarize, in a bid to keep their kingdom's independence, the Hawaiian royal family westernized themselves, their society, and their economy. And a large part of that was allowing American and European investors to open large sugarcane plantations, staffed largely by immigrant workers brought in from Japan, China, Korea, the Philippines, Portugal, and Puerto Rico. By the 1880s, the sugar plantations were major economic drivers and miniature governments in and of themselves. But the sugarcane planters had a problem: rats. The Pacific rat loved sugarcane, and it was starting to cause crop loss, so the plantation owners went looking for an answer. In an 1872 article, a sugar planter in Jamaica described how he'd significantly decreased the rat problem in his fields by importing mongoose from India and releasing them as a form of rodent control. Which is why William Herbert Purvis, an Englishman who'd invested in a cane plantation, thought this made eminent sense. After all, mongoose were famous for their ability to kill basically any opponent, even cobras, so he was sure they could rid his Pacific sugar mill of its rodent problem. Now, keep in mind, Purvis was no amateur at introducing new species to the islands. The previous year, he'd imported macadamia trees from Australia as an ornamental plant, though they gave good nuts too. Surely these mongooses would be just as much of a success, right? Then, after Purvis released the beasts, other plantation owners followed suit on nearly every island, with the exception of Kauai, where a local man booted the crate off the dock, drowning the invasive animals. And invasive they were, because mongoose don't just prey on rats, they prey on anything. In their native India, they largely ate insects, rats, and snakes. But like any animal, it went for the easiest and most convenient prey. One Hawaiian article, published the same year Purvis introduced mongoose, warned that the animal was a general destroyer. Sadly, they were exactly right. The mongoose killed rats, but not many. Mainly due to the fact that rats are nocturnal while mongoose are diurnal, meaning they basically just passed each other while they were commuting to work. No, the easiest prey turned out to be eggs. Groups of mongoose ravaged the native bird population. It burgled eggs from nests, killed chick-
See, I was thinking the mouse was going to be just keep going for the eggs, and it was a net. I never thought about the mongoose
that recently left the protection of trees and even dug up and feasted on turtle eggs buried in the sand of the beaches. Particularly hard hit were the native ground nesting birds, who again had evolved in an environment with no terrestrial predators. And this was so obvious early on that an article in a local newspaper published in 1900 already remarked on the population crash. When we first took possession, a groundkeeper was quoted in the article. There were a good many pheasants and skylarks there. Now they're nearly extinct and it's too bad. The mongoose is solely responsible for the passing of these desirable birds. It's particularly destructive on eggs. Birds cannot raise broods when it's about. Yet, even as this became apparent, business interests published editorials touting the introduction as a success and denigrating reports of birds being killed. Articles often focused on humorous stories of mongoose raiding hen houses. Meanwhile, not particularly caring about any PR spin, the mongoose kept killing. Among its victims was the nene goose, state bird of Hawaii, whose population fell from 25,000 in 1778 to only 30 in 1952. Though mongoose weren't the only factor. Feral cats also took their toll, and another large threat were invasive mosquitoes, imported via Western ships that spread avian diseases. And as a result, Hawaii is the bird extinction capital of the world. When humans arrived, the islands had 142 unique bird species. Since then, 95 of them have been driven to extinction. And of the 44 endemic species remaining, 33 are listed as endangered, and some who have not been sighted in decades are likely already gone. Some of those threatened include the alala, or Hawaiian crow, which many native Hawaiians consider a family guardian spirit, and the iiwi, known in mythology to be the demigod Maui's favorite bird. And since many of these birds are also pollinators, their declining population have led to a collapse in native plant life that depended on them as part of their life cycle. When W.H. Purvis released his horde of mongoose into a field on the Big Island, he didn't expect to destroy an ecosystem, but he did. A harsh reminder that ignorance and overconfidence can be just as devastating as malicious intent. Today, efforts to introduce species as a form of biocontrol are studied extensively for their impact before being tried. Thankfully, the lesson took root. In 1888, King Kalakaua decreed the kingdom's first plant quarantine, hoping to keep botanical diseases out of the islands. 2 years later, in 1890, importation of non-native insects was banned, and in 1905, non-native animals were added to the list. Not to mention today, a host of local organizations are attempting to preserve what native birds remain. Actually, one of Hawaii's success stories is the nene goose. A breeding and reintroduction program begun in the 1950s has moved the nene off the endangered species list, and its population now sits around 2,500. So, let's move into the future with a little more knowledge and hope that that upward trajectory is the future for all Hawaiian birds, even the angry ones.
Hopefully the population can get back up.
What if I told you that Ahmed Ziad Turki?
Like, you know what I mean? Hopefully the population can get back up to once it was, like, you know, what it once was, or even higher. You know what I mean? But only time will tell. We'll see in probably another 20 years where it's at. And then see if they can get even farther, you know? Keep the process going. Let me know what you guys thought about the video. There was definitely a couple of things I didn't know about until this video. So, but I think I definitely wouldn't mind going there one day and seeing all that. I think that would definitely be cool. Let me know what you guys' thoughts are. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Positivity is key, motivation is key, happiness is key. I will see you guys in the next video. You guys stay safe, watch out for each other. You guys stay safe.